enough.
Yo, what's up, chefs? It's Vinny. Today we're just gonna hop straight into it, and I am a bit sick, so apologies if my voice sounds like shit, but I just got done taking my witch through the campaign, and this build is giga easy, absolutely blast through everything, becomes practically a one button build after level 14, and still manages to be incredibly tanky, as I'm sure you just saw in the intro. And if you follow this guide, you can pretty much complete the campaign with your eyes closed, in blazing speed to get into the end game and start printing some currency. I'm going to try and edit in some gameplay on screen from the middle or end of the Cruel Axe so you guys can get a taste for what the build looks like and just what you can expect from the gameplay if you end up wanting to try it out for yourself. But without further ado, let's go ahead and go over the build. First up, we're going to start with the skills, and I've got a bunch of different sections here so you can get through the entire campaign with no confusion. And as you can see in the notes, the skills are arranged in a priority order from top to bottom. Just in case you don't have extra uncut skill gems or support gems in your stash, you can just focus on the stuff at the top first. Starting off from level 1 to 10, you're going to be using the Skeletal Sniper as your primary damage, combined with Unearth, Flame Wall, and Contagion to help out with your AoE, and then finally your Skeletal Warriors, specifically the ones from your Scepter, to be acting as a meat shield. The main support gems to worry about here are the ones for your snipers, giving them extra attack speed and fire damage, and all of the other ones are kind of the cherry on top, and I wouldn't worry about them too much unless you have extra support gems to go around. The playstyle during this time is basically just running around, putting Contagion on a mob or two from each pack, then dropping a Flame Wall. Once most things are dead or close to dead, you can just use Unearth a couple times to summon up a bunch of extra little minions to go to work for you. Following that, once you have access to level 3 uncut skill gems, which is around level 10, you'll want to swap out your snipers for skeletal arsonists and Contagion for essence drain. You won't be using Essence Drain for too long, but it's pretty much a crutch skill for your single target damage until you get your Raging Spirits at around level 14. At this stage, you want to make sure you've got the support gems for your Arsonist and Essence Drain. Your Arsonist will be making use of the attack speed, martial tempo once again, and scatter shot, which is going to not only look amazing, but also feel amazing for your AoE clear throughout the rest of the campaign. Essence Drain just has some supports that help out with the single target damage. Finally, starting at about level 12 to 14 is whenever the build really starts to come online and you'll just begin to blast through the rest of the campaign. You're going to be picking up Raging Spirits via the ritual quest from Thin in Freythorn, and then you're going to support it with Fire Infusion and Martial Tempo, and you'll need to replace the Martial Tempo from your Arsonist with Concentrated Effect. Now, every time you place a firewall or flame wall to support your arsonist projectiles, it will also summon 5 Raging Spirits automatically that will be doing massive single target damage. So you've basically got both bases covered with your minions, single target by Raging Spirits and AoE by your arsonist working together at all times. Additionally, whenever you're able to, you'll also want to go ahead and pick up Pain Offering, which is a massive AoE buff for your minions, supported by Magnified Effect and Persistence for an increased radius and duration, as well as Flammability to reduce fire resistance of rare mobs and bosses, supported by Inspiration for lower cost, and Heightened Curse for extra effectiveness. At this point, you can really just start to ignore Unearth if you want, and it basically just becomes a one button build 90% of the time because you can just run around and cast Flame Wall. For rares and bosses, it does turn into a 3-button build, as you'll want to use Pain Offering and Flammability as well, and if you want to kill the bosses as fast as I was in the intro, just try to make sure you precast a couple of Flame Walls and a Pain Offering, and then use Flammability as soon as the boss is targetable. For the rest of the campaign, the only thing that changes is adding in your Infernal Hound that you get from ascending into an Infernalist around level 25. and adding in / moving around some extra support gems whenever you're able to. Obviously, you won't start getting access to the third support gem socket until Act 3, so don't worry about the third slots until then. I also went ahead and added an additional section here for the people who have access to uncut level 3 support gems in their stash, or for once you start to get them later in the cruel acts, as you will want to make use of them if you can, and start to move some things around. And if you're wondering about the 4 support sockets on Arsonist and Infernal Hound during the campaign, it's not really something you need to worry about, but if you want to speed things up, then you can use a Vol orb on your skill gems to corrupt them, and one of the outcomes is getting an extra socket. So you could do this on your Arsonist since it'll be your main source of damage. And your Infernal Hound just automatically unlocks support sockets at certain levels, so that's why I added the 4th choice here as well, just for your future reference. Up next, I'm going to talk about the passive skill tree. Obviously, if you want to follow along with this while leveling, I'm going to include the link to this written version of the guide in the description, where you'll have access to the skill tree planner by clicking here on the little full screen icon, and it does move step by step, so you do get to see the order in which you should take the nodes as well. The general idea for the route that I took in the passive skill tree was obviously to focus on my minion damage and minion tankiness, but also to make sure my minions were reviving very quickly. Finally, I sprinkled in a little bit of defense, primarily towards the end of my leveling progression, but if you're playing a softcore character and you don't care about dying, or you have some really good gear so you're resist capped or whatever the case may be, feel free to skip the defensive nodes until you feel like you need them. Starting off though, we went ahead and came through here for some minion damage, getting the nice minion damage node here. Moving up forward, we get more minion damage, minion attack and cast speed. Then we bridge over here to get minions revive 15% faster. Following that, we get minions extra HP. Where do we want to go next? Well, more HP, then our minions get more damage, and then this is a big node. Minions get 20% increased movement speed, and attack and cast speed, well, 8% attack and cast speed, so this one's an absolute no-brainer. After that, we bridge down here, we get some more minion revive speed and extra minion HP. This one's just HP, but the minions reviving faster is actually very valuable, especially in the early game, because your minions will be dying a lot. And I wouldn't worry about it too much because they revive pretty quickly, especially with some of these nodes, but they do die quite a bit until you start getting them some resistances, which is where we're going to go next. So after that, we head all the way up here. We get minions have plus 20% to all elemental resistances, which is super nice. By the end of the passive tree, I think they'll be getting 60%. It's either 40 or 60, but you'll also have some jewel sockets to increase their resistances even more, which is really nice. They also get plus 5% to all maximum elemental resistances, which means they can go up to 80%, which is really sweet. After that, we go down, I believe. Yep, let's see. Well, after that, you get your first ascendancy, roughly, give or take. Come down here, you get your loyal hellhound, which is super sick. Then we come around the circle, we get more minion revive speed, and then we also get minion increased area of effect and increased cooldown rate, which this one's actually not super important. I mean, the area of effect is nice, the cooldown recovery rate's kind of whatever, but we also get a bunch of increased damage on the way, which is the main reason. After that, we go up, we grab this jewel socket, we come all the way up through here through the really nice minion section, we get a bunch of extra damage, they get extra elemental resistances, more damage, and then finally a big one, minions have 12% reduced reservation, which is super nice because you're reserving your spirit to actually be able to summon your minions. Once you get this node, you'll probably be able to get like an extra arsonist or 2, which is very, very helpful. After that, we come down. Minions get additional physical damage reduction and chaos resistance. Very clutch because there's not many ways to get your minions chaos resistance that I'm aware of, but this is one of them. Following that, we're not going to leave any minion damage on the table, so we come back over here, grab the 12% node. Then we're going to come all the way back over to the right. We're going to grab these extra damage nodes and these accuracy nodes. I've seen some people get these earlier, but I didn't feel like I needed them, so I waited until quite a bit later. After we get the accuracy nodes, we're going to move all the way across the path here. we're going to come down to this minion section. We're going to come up here. Minions have plus 20% to all elemental resistances. Once again, super nice. At this point, your minions are going to start to die a lot less. Then we get some extra minion damage, which all of these little small nodes are minion damage as well. And then you get a big 25% increase here. Then you're going to go right across. You're going to get minions have 25% increased maximum life. Once again, very nice for the tankiness of your minions. Minions are really not going to be dying much now. Then after that, we're going to go on a little trek down here. We see some more minion damage. Not going to leave it on the table, so we come down and grab it. If you wanted, you could grab these two nodes, but I didn't end up going for it because I just felt like my minions were doing so much damage at this point that it was kind of overkill. So I went through this little swirly swirl, grabbed all of these increased armor and maximum energy shield nodes, and then ended it with this 3% increased movement speed, which is super nice. And kind of getting to the point here where, you're going to be getting close to finishing the campaign. You're going to be anywhere from like 85 to 93 points. There's not too much left to go, but I did include it all in the planner. After you get the swirly swirl, you're going to come down here, get some extra defense and intelligence. Then you're going to come up here, you're going to get some really nice maximum energy shield nodes, plus 1% all to maximum elemental resistances. Pretty solid. And then after that, you're going to come down here, get this basically just life regen for yourself. Pretty nice. And it ends up working on your energy shield as well if you get this notable. And then finally, what are the last four? Oh yeah, the last four is going to come down here, and you're going to get increased energy shield recharge rate, which is pretty nice, but honestly, you could slot out, or you could swap out these four for heading in this direction, because eventually you are going to want to come up here and get this adamant recovery, but it's kind of more like an end game transition thing. So for now, I think getting these four is probably the best decision. Last but not least, I'm going to go over just the important parts of the gear for the sake of the video not getting too long, and I'll just briefly mention that I tried to make the notes section of the written guide extremely detailed with sections for gear, skills, gameplay, and passive tree tips, because I know how frustrating it can be if you're a beginner, or even if you're just coming back to the game after a break, when guides leave a bunch of things up to interpretation, or just assume the people using them are experienced players. So I tried to alleviate that issue with the notes section. If you do end up having any questions, make sure to check the notes, and there's probably a solid chance I covered it there, but if not, feel free to drop a comment below, and I'll try to get back to you ASAP. Moving on though, as for the gear, the most valuable thing you can get while leveling up, for your clear speed anyways, is going to be plus levels to your minion skills, which can only be found on your scepter, helmet, and amulet, and additional spirit is also really nice as well. The gear I've included here are all examples of items you can get for very cheap, so 1 Exalt orb or less per item, and they'll increase your leveling speed immensely. I would prioritize the scepter, chest piece, and shield first, and it's worth noting that on the helmet and amulet, you're probably only going to have +1 or +2 levels to minions throughout the campaign, unless you want to spend a lot of currency, but for the scepter, you can easily get all the way up to +4 levels for 1 Exalt orb. This is going to depend on what level you are. A rough estimate would be that you can get +2 around level 20 to 30, +3 around level 30 to 45, and finally +4 around level 50 to 65. I also included a priority list of a bunch of the best stats you can find in your scepter in the notes section down below, just so you can get the best bang for your buck. For the amulet, I think while leveling up you have 2 choices, so I included another one on set 2, but I'd say your best choice is going to be a solar amulet, which comes with spirit as an implicit, and then you can also get spirit as a prefix mod, and then just get some regular defensive stats, all for 1 Exalt. And although you can get plus levels to minions on it as well, it's going to end up being over 30 plus Exalts at least, so it's not worth it. If you are struggling to find a good solar amulet on trade, then you can just grab any regular type of amulet with plus levels to minions. I prefer the plus all attributes amulet since it does help with our attribute requirements while leveling. The chest piece and shield are both low level uniques you can get for 1 Exalt, and they provide a massive boost to your spirit and some solid defense, which is incredibly helpful, and I would honestly just run these for the entire campaign. The boots would be the lowest priority here if you don't have any extra currency laying around, But if you do have one more Exalt to spare, then definitely grab yourself a pair of Stompers with around 20% or more movement speed. And then if you can, try and get some extra universal defensive stats on them as well, such as max life and resistances, but definitely prioritize the movement speed first. Other than that, for all the pieces that aren't shown here, there isn't much unique to this build to worry about, so you just want to prioritize getting some energy shield / armor hybrid bases like these boots, if you can, with the regular universal defensive stats such as life, elemental resistances, and increases to your armor and energy shield are a bonus if you can get those on top. And that is going to wrap up the build guide. I hope you guys enjoyed, don't forget to subscribe, and good luck out there, Exiles.
And last but not least, take it easy, chefs.
Watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away.